Uh, the big difference when you're buying used is you're gonna have to determine, is it a private sale or is it through a dealer? And nowadays you have to be careful because Kijiji, you look through them and it looks like it's just a private person, but that person might have a dealer license, meaning that person is selling on a regular basis, buying and selling. Or you have to be very careful when you look for cars. There's something called rebuild status. Some of you are nodding, you're like, you know what I'm talking about. Every week, Autopack auctions off all the written off cars. Every Wednesday, if you go to Autopack, I don't know if it's in person again, it's probably online, but you can bid on any cars that are written off. And some of them are deemed, what's the word they use? Salvageable. That's the key. Like if the car is like total write-off, you cannot ever put it back on the road. But if it's salvageable, you can buy it, fix it, insure it, and then drive it or sell it if you want, right? So some people make money that way. They're able to buy it for, a car that's normally 15 grand. They buy it maybe for 6 on the auction. They fix it up, maybe put 2-3 grand on it, either drive it themselves or they sell it. So you have to be very careful when you buy a car and the price is too good to be true. You can ask the seller, is this a rebuild or is this a regular no damage, right? And it will say on the registration, it's actually blue. I will show you tomorrow. I'll get the one for my car. It's just a strip of paper. Somewhere on that registration that is from Autopack, it says status rebuild. If it says rebuild, you know it's a write-off. It's a former write-off, so you got to be careful. Not that, often those cars are just fine, but you don't want to overpay for something that has potential hidden damage, right? A car, everything is connected. So if you get hit right in front, you might think, oh, it's driving, it's all good, but you don't know all the components that have been damaged behind the hood, like under the hood, right? So you want to be careful, keep that into account, okay? All right, so if you buy from a dealership, you're gonna pay 12% tax, just like buying new. So put that down, 12%. If you're buying private, you're only gonna have to pay the PST, so it's the 7%. Okay, so PST only, and here it's PST plus GST, right? So you pay both taxes there. Yeah, so if you have your formula sheet, maybe let's take a moment and change this to 7 so you're not, it's not 8. I probably grabbed the wrong year. I have the updated one, but my apologies, I made a mistake there. Bottom of the first page. Bottom of the first page, 7% instead of 8. Okay. A safety inspection. Prior to insuring a vehicle in Manitoba, it needs to pass, right? You need to pass safety. No talking now, please. It's called a COI, Certificate of Inspection. So a safety is also a COI. It's up to you. Most people refer to it as safety. And as soon as you safety a car, it's valid for, let's see if there's some people in here that know. How long is it good for? It's 1 full year. Yeah, 1 year. So let's say the person that you're buying from just safetied the car. There's a date on there, right? You buy the car. If you want to sell it within that year and get something else, you don't have to safety it again. It's pretty cool, right? Otherwise you pay a lot. Yeah. Oh, That's a good question. I would have to figure that out because I know a lot of people buy. Let me figure that out. That I never thought of that. I will look into that. Good question. I am assuming that they should honor it, but I don't know. Anybody else? Anybody know that? Anybody in here? Yeah, I will look into it. I'll find out for sure. I call AutoPack actually, like all the time. Like when I teach this course, I have a question and they tell me, okay, book value. The value of the car based on its make and age, and it's very important that you know that it does not always reflect the market value. Okay, doesn't always do that. And I will say this: book value is usually lower than market value. And the reason you can actually call, before I bought my car, I called AutoPack and I asked them, what's the book value for a Ford F-150, right? And they give you three prices. They give you the low, the medium, and the high, right? Like three prices that you can kind of go by. And I didn't do that because that's what I wanted to pay. It's just I wanted to know that I'm not overpaying by a whole lot. But it's just like house prices. Like the bank will always value your house lower than what it's actually worth. It's just so that they have a baseline, okay? So then there's the purchase price, of course, is the actual value paid. Actual value paid for the vehicle. It may be more or less than book value, okay? Okay, maybe more or less than book value. Trade-in is the same as before. If there is a trade-in, subtract from the original. So if the car is worth 5 and you trade in 2, 3,000 will be taxed, right? So keep that in mind. Parts and labor, I call that P&L. So let's do that right away so that you know what I'm talking about later on. Parts and labor like that. Any repairs and or work done is taxed 12%. Just highlight the 12% for parts and labor. And I tell you this, calculate parts and labor prior to determining the total cost. We're always going to do parts and labor on the side and then bring it in to our final cost at the end. And this is probably going to be new to all of you, most likely. A lien search. What is a lien search? Let's read it first and then I'll break it down. A lien is a claim or legal right against assets that are typically used as a collateral to satisfy a debt. What is that talking about? Well, when the bank gives you money, right? You don't have to copy this part down, but let's say the bank gives you money to buy a BMW, right? And I'm buying it. But the bank will put a lien on this car. It's registered across the country as being attached or tied to the bank. So let's say it's TD, right? TD Trust or RBC, whatever, one of the big banks. They put a lien on your car because technically you could sell it and just take off with the money, right? And the bank is like, wait a minute, like where's our money? You owe us for it, right? So let's say my friend wants to buy the car off of me. He goes to his bank, right? Let's say he banks with RBC. The bank will do a search. My bank did that. Most banks will do it. They will do a lien search. And they type your VIN number. You have a long serial number. Every car has one by the dashboard. If you look, it is there. It's on other places too, but they look for that car, and if it has a lien on it, this bank will not give the money to my friend to buy it. They will not do it. So what do you do in that case? Because it's quite often, like when I bought a car, the person before, like selling me the car, owed money on it. And that wasn't a surprise. He told me that ahead of time, just so you know, I owe money on it still. What needs to happen is I need to go to my bank, get a release form, pay off the loan. So let's say you still owe $5,000 on that car. I need to pay that off completely, get a form, and then give it to my friend, who will then give it to RBC and saying, hey, look, I have a piece of paper saying that this car is now released. There's no lien on it, right? And then your bank will go ahead and give you the money. You'll probably forget all about it by the end of today. Just remember there is such a thing as a lien, and your bank will talk to you about it. So they will tell you what to do when that happens. The only thing you need to remember is that we do talk about lien searches, and it costs money to do them. So you got to make sure that you add that to your total. I don't know why no came in here, so just scratch that. I don't know why that came in there. Okay, so this chart right here is actually in the back of your formula sheet. I just wanted you to have it here as well. If you flip to the back, it's right here. That's the only thing on the second page of your booklet, of your formula sheets. And I've just inserted it here to talk about it and to highlight a few things. So it summarizes how you tax things when you're buying cars. If you buy new, you pay PST and GST, so it's 12%. Write that down. Right? You're paying both taxes, 12%. If you're buying used at a dealership, I will summarize it as UD, right? Used dealership, you still pay both taxes. So if you buy at a dealer, it doesn't matter if it's new or used, it's going to be 12%. Buying used private, you don't pay the GST. You only pay the PST. So you pay 7% only. But I'm going to get you to highlight, it's the greater of the book value or the purchase price. So you're going to pay taxes on the biggest of the two. And that is because some people would sell cars for $1 on the bill of sale so that they would be able to evade the taxes, right? So AutoPack got smart and said, wait a minute, right? We're going to have a base price, so you can't get less than, you can't go lower than that in terms of paying taxes, right? So that's what it is. Safety, you don't pay PST, you only pay the GST, so you would be paying 5% for safety. Materials and labor, that's the P&L, right? Parts and labor, that's 12%. Lien search, no taxes whatsoever. You don't pay taxes on lien search, which could change any day depending on what government we have, right? So there's your tax breakdown. I don't think you need to copy this down. You'll be okay after I give you the formulas, okay? Okay. Quick note, in order to insure a vehicle in Manitoba, you need a certificate of inspection, which is also known as the safety. You need a bill of sale. And you need a TOD. This is what we call transfer of ownership. What's the transfer of ownership? It's just a little slip of paper that people usually have in their glove compartment that was given to them by AutoPack. the back of it has a little box that you sign. So if you're trying to sell your car, you need to sign that, and it's saying, I release the car to the buyer, right? So that needs to be with you, those three things. And the safety, make sure you have the white copy, because the safety has three copies. It has a white, a pink, and a yellow. The seller gave me the yellow copy for whatever reason, so I go all the way down, like Phillips and Leela, go to that store, and they're like, we need the white copy. So I had to go all the way back to the buyer, the seller, get the white copy, and go back. So I'm telling you because I learned the hard way. Okay. So these are the three things you need to insure your car, or you will not be able to register. Okay. Very important. Where do you get the bill of sale from? Let me just. So formulas. I'm going to give you two, and they're pretty long, guys. Okay. They actually span the whole page. So you gotta write small. Okay. If you're getting it from a dealer, it looks like this. Purchase price minus trade-in. You multiply that by 1.12. You would add the safety, and the safety only gets taxed 5%, the GST only. And I will put that in brackets like that. Followed by parts and labor. So they will talk about hours that the mechanics work on your car and how much they charge per hour, all of that. And that is taxed 12%, so it's times 1.12 plus the lien, which is not taxed. So you just tack it on to your formula. And I like to box in important information. That should definitely find its way. So UD, right, stands for used dealer, and P&L stands for parts and labor. Okay. So I have to say this. If there is no trade-in mentioned, you drop it, you omit. If there's no safety, you omit, right? If they don't talk about safety, you would just not worry about this step, right? You would just make it disappear. If there's no parts and labor, then this goes as well. So this formula is only if it's applicable, right? If they do mention a safety, it would go in here, so forth. All right, use private. Because I know this is a longer formula, I'm going to go further back here. Use private like that. And here we go. Purchase price plus book slash purchase price times 0.07. How come it's 0.07, not 1.07? Because this is the purchase price, and we just want to figure out how much would we pay in taxes, which is the greater of these two. So write down greater of just above, so you know it's the bigger of these two when they will both show up. And you need to pick the greater of the two. Okay, plus The rest is the same. Safety times 1.05. I'll put that in brackets. Plus parts and labor times 1.12 plus the lien. Okay, so there are the two formulas for buying a used vehicle in Manitoba. So I will add here, note, using these formulas, finds the total cost after tax. Okay, that's the first point here. The second point, do not add taxes again. And the reason why I put that there is because, listen carefully, a lot of students will do this beautifully. They will do all of this, and then at the end they'll be times 1.12 again. And that would be a pretty sad world if, because here you're figuring out all the different taxes and how everything comes together. You don't want to tax it again, okay? That would be pretty cruel for them to do that. So do not times it by 1.12 again. Okay? So these two formulas, I'm going to put them to the test right now. Okay, we're going to use them immediately so you know how to apply what we've just been talking about. Okay, they look scary, right? They look a little scary, maybe. Don't worry about it. It's quite doable. Okay, just follow what I'm doing here. Example 1, you agree on a price of $12,999. It's a used car at a dealership. So which formula are you going to use? This is U and this is D, right? You're going to use the used dealership formula. There's a remote starter for $499, and you get $3,500 for your old car. That'd be a trade-in. Calculate the total including tax. So this would be the trade-in. Make sure you label for now. It might make sense right now, but not a couple weeks from now. So trade-in, this would be considered parts. Okay, a remote starter or anything you add would be under the parts category. And this would be the purchase price. Right, the price that they're giving you, obviously you agree to buy, that's the purchase price. So used dealer, what's the first thing that comes up? You need to take your purchase price, yeah, minus the trade-in, which is 3,500. You're going to multiply that by 1.12. Does it mention safety? I'm looking at the formula right above right now. I'm following it. Does it mention safety? It doesn't, right? There is a parts and labor. So I'm going to, because it's only one part, we can do this right in here. And so I will just make a note, no safety, no lien, right? And so we just ignore or omit. So that long formula just turns into this, okay? So let's figure out what this is. This minus that, you get 9,499. times 1.12 plus 400, 999 times 1.12. And now I'm going to allow you to just type that in one shot, right? So you get 11,198.87, right? That third 8 bumps the 6 to a 7. And that's your final answer. After tax. Done. Next question. You find Joel finds an F-150 for $24,900. It's private. If it's private, we're going to assume what? That it's used, right? Let's say it's all mixed up. It's a private sale, it has to be used. So this is used, private. The seller is saying as is. That usually means good luck, right? You can fix it and have fun with it, but it's being sold as is, no safety, nothing. The book value, right? Book value is $32,000. There's a $65 safety. There's a $30 lien. Calculate the total cost of purchasing the vehicle after tax. We know that it's the used and it's private. And here it gets a little tricky. Let's label this. This is purchase price, right? This one right here. And the rest is pretty self-explanatory. But you need to start, I'm looking at the formula that I gave you. It calls for purchase price, so you always put that first. Then, which one is greater of the two? The book value is, correct? So that is the number that you put in here. That's what AutoPack is going to tax you on. You might say it's not fair, but it is what it is, that you can't do anything about it. Even if you paid less, they will charge you on the 32,000. You notice that it's only 0.07, right? Because it's this is the PST that they're charging here. Plus, what else is there? The safety. Does it have a safety? Yes. So 65 times 1.05. Because you're going to add taxes to this, right? 65 plus 5%. There is no parts, there are no parts, no labor, but there is the lien surge. Okay, no parts and labor, so ignore. Okay. So 24,900 plus, let's figure out what this is. 32,000 times 0.07, that's 2,240. Plus 65 times 1.05, that's 6825 plus 30. Now you can type this all in. And that's 27,238.25. After tax. No, wait a minute. I'm just going to add, make sure that this person is paying taxes. I'm going to go times 1.12 just to make sure. Let's jack it up, right? No, don't do that, right? Don't multiply this by 1.12. This is doing that, okay? It's just complicated because some things are tax 5, some are 7, right? I would like to highlight this here. It's not 1.05, it's 0.05, or else you'll get a huge number. It'll be like 60,000 or something. Okay, you don't want that. How much did Joel pay in taxes? Sorry, Joel. Tax only. This is where you do a little bit of mental math. This portion right here, that would be part of the taxes you paid. So take this number and bring it over here. And you paid the 65 turned into 68.25. So you can do mental math. How much taxes here? $3.25. No taxes on the lien, it's just 5% here. Okay. How did I get that? I'll go 625 minus 65. That's 325 and taxes that were paid here. So just add these up. If I ask you for taxes only, it'll be like this. It'll be pretty straightforward. You just have to go grab the numbers. Oh, sorry there. Grab the correct numbers. All right. I'm going to go to the back side. I'm going to ask you to do both questions on that page. I'll just give you one hint, right? You're going to need a little bit of help on those. Okay. Go to page 8, please. You need to do parts and labor on the side. You want to do all your parts and the labor that they talk about. You want to do that on the side and just get an amount before you bring it into your formula. So that's what's different here. Okay. I will go over these tomorrow. So right now, you try what you can with what you know and what you've learned. Okay. Right.